Just east of Vault 76, we find a unassuming structure. It and the shed out back are decrepit, but so are most structures in post-war Appalachia. Next to the boarded up front door, we can find a rocking chair sitting next to a bird cage and spittoon. This will be important for later. The boarded up front door is accompanied by boarded up windows. Heading around to the balcony, we can see that there is a small inlet just behind some shrubs. Pushing into this inlet, we walk into a chilling scene. At our feet lay the bones from around 5 people. Distinctly, they are missing their heads. Doing a 180, written in what looks like chalk, it says, "Sickleman was here." On a small shelf, we see some miscellaneous items like ammo and junk, but sitting next to those items, we see Sickleman's sickle. Looking up, we can use these rocks to launch ourselves into the boarded up house. Inside, we don't find much other than some miscellaneous junk and a female skeleton. This couldn't be Sickleman, right? Heading onto the back deck, the first thing we see is a large hot tub. Heading up the steps and looking down, we can see the skulls from the skeletons in the basement. So who was Sickleman? Was he based off a real-life serial killer? Well, the story of Sickleman started just after the announcement of Fallout 76. A picture of Sickleman Was Here was one of the very first images released of Fallout 76 in-game, and people have been speculating ever since. Unfortunately, there isn't any blood-soaked true crime story behind Sickleman, nor is this a reference to pop culture. This just seems to be the result of Bethesda employees creating an interesting unmarked location. But there is some real-life folklore that may have inspired what we see in-game. It is a short story called Head in the Well. Here is that story.
In an old homestead near Mount Harmony, West Virginia, 150 years ago, lived a beautiful young woman named Mary Meadows. Every man for miles around wanted her for his wife, but she only cared for Tom Dixon, who, like herself, was young and handsome. The wedding day was set, the big cabin was made ready, and the marriage took place. The young couple seemed to be ideally happy. Some of Mary's many admirers were very disappointed over her choice of Tom Dixon. One man especially seemed broken-hearted. His name was Jack Wilson. He was an odd person who never forgot anyone that got in his way. As the months passed, he got worse. He wouldn't talk to anyone, was always in the woods, and people saw less and less of him. Soon, he was type of a wild man, bearded and dirty with clothes and rags, and eyes that had the look of a maniac. One day, Wilson saw Mary in the town of Fairmont. Knowing that Tom Dixon would be home alone, he crossed the river and took the road that led to Mount Harmony and the Dixons' farm. Along the way, he stopped in a nearby woods and retrieved a sickle that he had placed there long before. Like some wild animal, he crept up on Dixon, who was hoeing corn in his big cornfield. However, Tom's dog saw him and started to bark. Tom looked around just in time to see the wild-looking madman coming at him with a sickle. He started to run for the house. With Wilson close behind him, he had got as far as the well when he tripped. And before he could get up, Wilson was upon him. Now, he had to fight for his life, and some fight it was, but he finally took the sickle and with one big swing cut off Wilson's head, which rolled into the well. Horrified at what happened, he carried the body deep into the woods and hid it under the brush. He never said anything to his wife about the fight, and even killed a young pig and threw it into the well to keep anyone from using the water. 2 weeks passed. No one missed Wilson so much because of his queer ways. He was believed to have left the neighborhood and was soon forgotten. However, he was anything but gone, and soon everyone was to know of him in a different way. Without any warning, Tom Dixon, who in 2 weeks seemed to have aged 20 years, sold his farm, took his wife, and moved to the far west, never to be heard from again. The new owner of the farm was a very good man by the name of Salters, who soon moved in. This was the story he told. Every night, when the moon was full, he would hear a deep voice call out from the woods, "Where is my head?" From the down in the abandoned well, a burbling answer would come down, "Down here in the well." Then the voice in the woods would say, "Where? I can't find the well." Then after a short pause, the voice would start all over again, and the conversation would be repeated over and over all night long, until the full moon would disappear the next morning. This went on for years. Salters moved out and nobody would live in the house any length of time, and the farm was soon reclaimed by the woods.
So obviously, this short story isn't direct inspiration to what we find in-game, but I thought several of this story's themes matched too well to conclude that they are not connected. There is a location located across the map where some players have discovered another unmarked location that they think is connected to the Sickleman. Just west of the RNG station, we can find another unmarked location. On the street, we can see a mailbox with some festive pumpkins. In the driveway, we can find a long-destroyed police car. Behind the car, we can find a rather ominous-looking scarecrow with a pumpkin head. To our right, we see a house. This time, it's even more decrepit than the last one. Walking around the house before we enter, we can find a broken part of the upper level that forms a ramp to that upper level. Unfortunately, we don't find much up here, so heading back down, we can enter through the front door. Moving in, to our left, we see a small bathroom. Not much here, but pushing further in, we come across a strange scene. Sitting in a rocking chair is the skeleton of a woman. In her hands is a long tool known as a scythe or sickle. The tool, though, unfortunately, isn't lootable or movable. Further examining the scene, we see a bird cage sitting right next to her, just like we saw in the Sickleman house. So that's pretty compelling evidence, right? Well, the thing that really puts it over the edge is past this bush growing inside of this broken building, we can see a skeleton. It looks like it may have fallen from the floor above. Right next to it, we can find another skeleton, but this time, it's missing its head. So, putting all the evidence together, I think that we can conclude that this is probably in some way connected to the Sickleman. I think getting some Sickleman DLC similar to the Van Lowe Sheep Squatch missions, where you go around the world solving the case of the Sickleman serial killer, uncovering clues and solving the mystery just like the Van Lowe quest, would be truly great, especially for people who are interested in true crime just like I am. A few additional bits here at the end. Many people, including me at the beginning, thought Sickleman was a reference to a real-life serial killer in West Virginia, maybe someone before the Great War. But because there is no such real-life serial killer, I can confidently say that this is not true. Not to say that there hasn't been serial killers that put victims under their floorboards, it's just that no serial killer has ever used a sickle to cut people's heads off and then stuck them under the floorboards in West Virginia. Other people, when that first picture of Sickleman Was Here was shared, thought Sickleman was going to be part of a larger plot in-game. I showed you the evidence that I found in-game, and I can confidently say that there is no such unmarked Sickleman quest in Fallout 76. Yet. Finally, some people thought Sickleman was a reference to an old horror movie. And again, from my research, you'll have to let me know if I'm wrong here, but the only movie I found involving a Sickleman was a small budget movie that is still to be released. The description reads, "In a small town in the early 1900s, there was once a legend about a Sickleman. This killer was brutal and would only kill because he was told to. But who told him to slaughter? Was it supernatural? The legend lives on." Yeah, I don't think that movie is connected to our Sickleman. So, like I said before, I really hope Bethesda expands on the Sickleman, and I think it would make an excellent addition to the game. Alright guys, that's all I have on the Sickleman. Big thanks to Esther for doing the voiceover of the short story. If you liked the video, make sure to let me know with a like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, consider joining my channel's membership. You get a cool little cryptid symbol next to your name when you comment, and it goes a long way in supporting my channel, so thank you. Also consider following me on Twitter. It's the best place for me to keep in contact with you guys. But anyway, this has been Widgeon TV. Thanks for watching, guys.